Hey guys, welcome to Sapimix Studio Umbiamas, conectando Aruba com o mundo via vídeo podcasting. Conectar conosco, compartilhar ideias e histórias para nos inspirar e para nos abrir. Sapimix Studio é a plataforma de podcast na Aruba. Follow-nos no Facebook, subscribe no YouTube ou na plataforma de podcast preferida. Escute o podcast preferido que hora e onde está. Sapimix Studio, powered by Subway. Passa na Subway para o sop, salada, wrap ou flatbread e mais fresco. Cucheta localidade Ronde Aruba. Nós está cerca de Ibo. Subway. Swing Masters. Organizando events, conferences ou weddings. Mister de luz, sound, staging, DJ, trussing ou flat screen. Swing Masters está claro para ser boa fiesta éxito. Swing Masters. E agora, Sapimix Studio é plataforma de podcast de Aruba está apresentar.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
And
Yes.
good afternoon for
Just
those that just woke up. What is it?
woke
Good
up.
morning for those who just woke up. Good morning for those who just woke up. And good afternoon for those that are on time.
Yes.
You got it?
Yes.
You got it. Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good for you. You need some coffee, buddy. Introductions. Let's go.
Okay, my name is Jean-Luc. I am a student at the University of Aruba, and I've had an interest in tech and games my entire life.
My name is Bruce. I'm his dad, digital evangelist, crypto advocate, and overall multimedia enthusiast. And we have a special guest. Jean-Luc, go ahead.
It's Paul
Yes.
Rubio. I'm the guest today. We're going to be talking about hacking today.
Yeah, so there you go. We're going to be talking about hacking.
So, Paul, we got your name, but what experience do you have, and what type of hacker do you call yourself? We've had these terms called white hat hacker,
black hat.
black hat hacker.
I would consider myself a gray hat, so in between black and white. Not
All right.
necessarily unethical and not necessarily ethical. I just feel like I do whatever I want.
So here I have a definition for hacking, according to Century Dictionary. That's a new one. It is the playful solving of technical work that requires deep understanding, especially of a computer system.
That's slightly accurate.
That is slightly accurate.
Sometimes you don't even need to have computer knowledge to be hacking into a system.
Really?
You could be doing social engineering where you talk to people and get passwords and things like that through them. Just by email or chats or things like that.
So we've already mentioned multiple terms at the same time that someone might not understand. So what is white hat hacking and black hat hacking?
White hat hacking is when you're doing ethical work for somebody or trying to fix a problem or an exploit that a website or a system might have. While black hat is doing it for your own personal gain. So getting into a website or an application and getting access to the things that you want to get access to.
So, if I understand you correctly, basically white hat hacking is when Facebook announces that anybody can solve this exploit that we have, will get paid this many and this many dollars.
Yeah, correct.
Oh, all right.
Well,
Be part of it.
the word exploit is not necessarily negative or positive.
No,
You know,
no.
an exploit is an exploit. When we talk about hacking, have you ever seen the movie The Social Network? You know, that's the Mark
Yes.
Zuckerberg
Yeah.
story, right?
Yes.
And you could see that he did a little bit of hacking in that scene with the beer when he did a voting system. So he basically started hacking these websites to download the pictures of the
girls
students,
and
right?
have them rated.
And that's where you kind of saw how he handled that, and he talks to himself, right? And there was this one website where he said something like, "Oh yeah, well, they got this thing and firewall, whatnot, and weird. I'll come back to this." Like, in other words, you couldn't hack that one, right?
I see.
And let me ask you this: sometimes, like I'm a web developer. Sometimes, you know, I do multimedia, and I sometimes need images, for example. So a client will call me and say, "Hey, can you go get that logo for me?" And then what I'll do is I'll go online and then I'll see, hey, the logo's here. Then it's an VG file. So I don't want to screenshot it, and then I just inspect the file, and then I download it. Could you consider that a hack? Not really.
Not really.
Yeah. Is there like a point like this? You have to go through a wall, or is it? What's the? When do you hack into something? Is when you break a barrier and get into it?
Yeah, I think it's when you do something that wasn't meant to be done.
Right.
the browser.
Oh.
There you go. That's the exploit part.
All
That's
right.
exploit part.
Then a perfect example is then it feels very weird to say that, but a form of hacking that I did when playing this browser game called Cookie Clicker.
Cookie clicker.
Cookie Clicker,
Cookie
yeah.
clicker.
I'm sure some of you may know what this is, but essentially in this game you click a cookie and it makes a cookie, and then cookie is the resource that you want most of, and then you can buy certain things within the game that produces more cookies, and it just continues accruing, right?
Right.
What you could do is you could like inspect elements, and you could open up a command prompt within that, and then send commands in your own instance of your cookie clicker, and then hack yourself some free stuff.
Right.
Well,
And what'd you get?
There was a specific code. There's a specific code that so the developers knew about this, right? That the players were doing this, so they had a specific command called "ruin the fun," where he would instantly unlock everything and get all of the cookies, right?
Right.
Yeah,
And so wait, they created sort of an Easter egg?
kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So back to our guests. So what is the type of stuff that you how do you approach being a hacker? How do you approach that? What's the things you're busy with when you're doing that kind of activity?
Mostly I do reverse engineering, which means mostly working with applications, not with websites. So usually taking an application apart using a debugger, which is it's an application that reads the memory of an application,
Right.
and you can see how the code is being run under it.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, so there's this application called IDA Pro, and that's what I mainly use to debug or disassemble the code of an application.
Interesting.
And there are no limits to any application? So if I tell you, can you reverse engineer Affinity Photo, which is like a Photoshop competitor?
You could open it and see how the code is under it in assembly, which is
Wow.
a very low level language, or in C in some cases.
Cool. And once you're there, what's next? What's the goal?
Just getting the application to do whatever you want it to do, whether it's reading the memory to get some information out of it, or changing a piece of it to do to something else, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
So not that we condone this, right? And the topics that we were going to talk about is purely for educational content, right?
Right. Yeah.
Is this what allows people to create cracked versions of
It is
software?
part, actually.
So,
Yeah, a lot
yeah.
of people do use IDA Pro to remove the barrier to entry to paid applications.
So for those who don't know, cracked software is practically the software that was made free. A lot of software that is you usually need to pay for, right? But if you go on those shady websites, you can find cracked software where you could just download it and it will immediately run.
Yeah, just to give you guys a little bit of history, once upon a time, the Apple community on Aruba was far in between. You know, it was a specialized equipment, and usually we're desktop publishers. So, you know, we're scanning. We're working a lot in the creative industry, and we had back in those days copies of the CDs, right? And a copy of a serial number, because you know you could just use the serial number no matter what, and it would open up because the software has a list that will get accepted. And later on, they started doing phone home kind of
they used to do
activity.
servers, yeah.
So for many years, I'm not an hacker, but what I would do is I would have the software called Little Snitch. And what Little Snitch does is just tell me anytime any software wants to connect anywhere, and it gives me permission, or I can give permission or non-permission, and that's how I could run Photoshop, without it phoning home and blocking it, right? But yeah, crack software is it's part of the natural progression of the internet.
Yeah.
Because Yeah, Photoshop was, $600, $700, and they wouldn't really go that quick
And
because
nobody really wants to pay for that.
exactly. But still, the creative industry needs people to commit to the software because later on, once you start your business, you'll probably end up
You'll
buying
probably end up
it.
buying it, yeah.
But when I worked at my advertising agency, of course he has copies. Because now he has a business. So I don't think that Adobe back in those days was very strongly, trying to negate, the cracked versions. And we used to have repositories. So there was these communities that have the server, and then, contributors like that would contribute. And then what they get in return is other software because it takes time. So I used to have access to these repositories for, Photoshop, Illustrator, 3D software. I mean, 3D Studio Max was really expensive. It was $2,000 for.
Yeah. Some software that is like required to be able to do something that you would like to do. It's just most people.
Too expensive.
Most people who want to just get started would have to invest and commit so much that
Right.
that's a great barrier for a lot of people, the financial barrier with a lot of software,
How do you feel about open source?
Open source, absolutely. I feel great about it.
Yeah.
You can see how everything that's being run under that application. So you can see that there's no viruses or anything in there.
Right.
Sometimes you can see, you can open up a cracked application, and sometimes you can download a miner. It comes with a miner.
Right.
So
Really?
that's a problem that sometimes developers that crack applications, they put a miner into the application, and people wouldn't know that it's being run under the computer.
That's an incentive,
That's an incentive.
That's
for
an
them to
incentive
crack.
for somebody to,
To
crack that software. Exactly. Because that's another warning, since we're doing that a little bit, it's educational. And what is the incentive usually? When these websites offer cracked versions, usually the website itself is predatory.
Yeah.
Right. So they've got these cookies, and they're trying to sell you ads, and you can see there's a certain age group that don't know the difference. You'll get this virus detected, and then some dude will social
click on
engineering,
that,
and click on it,
Boom, you have a virus.
and then boom, you got a virus, and off you go.
So, what is social engineering, guys?
Social engineering is basically the easiest way to usually hack something is people. People
Yeah,
are
they're the
really,
weakness.
People really are the easiest way to get into getting something that you want from a website. Say you wanted to hack somebody's Facebook, you could send them a link with a fake Facebook profile that says
Log in.
Log in. Username and password. They log in, and there you go. You have the username and password instantly. And it's them that were the problem, not the website that had any exploits or vulnerabilities.
Exactly. Yeah, it happened to me with Reddit.
On Reddit, yes.
Yeah,
I've heard
when
about this.
my wallet Exodus wasn't connecting, so I did this. Yeah, I guess help. What is somebody else having a problem with their Exodus? And then somebody contacted me. Why don't you go to this link and put your
Click here,
recovery
boom.
phrase? And then I'm like, what? And then I checked. Oh my God, he's got the icon and everything, but the profile was created an hour ago. So he's just there waiting for the lamb, the internet lamb.
Yeah.
Waiting for a victim right there.
Yeah. But let's talk about a little bit white hat hacking, right? So the positive side of things.
Searching for bugs.
Searching for bugs.
And bounties.
Searching for ways that a website could be exploited so protecting it from hackers, basically.
Yeah, so what they're doing is looking for vulnerability and reporting it,
and
right?
reporting it, fixing it.
Do black hat hackers, when they're caught, kind of defend themselves that way? Maybe.
Maybe some maybe do.
I mean, Mark
Some
did.
maybe do.
There is a very interesting joke going around where everybody who gets caught being a black hat hacker either admits to it and goes to jail, or
Gets hired.
or gets hired by
Or
like the
gets hired,
CIA,
yeah,
by the
but-
FBI, and starts working with them, right?
No, but that's exactly what's happened in the past. I mean, but let's be honest. The hackers is the wizard of the future. They're a special kind of person in a world that's going, especially global, borderless. The borderless economy exists online, right? So these people have special skills.
I find it very interesting that you use the word wizard, right?
Yeah.
Because these people to us,
Yeah,
maybe not like you because you know how it works, practically do magic.
Well, yeah, exactly. You know, it's. I mean, I'm learning how to code through music. I'm using something called Sonic Pi.
Don't know about it.
I've never coded really in my life, but now I'm using arrays and lists and ticks and whatnot to create music, and it's an educational platform really. But when you hear the creator, his name is Sam Aaron. He's a very accomplished programmer. He starts talking about how the software works, and he talks about nests when it nests and it's very difficult, and then he talks about Ruby, and he talks about all this other software.
All the other languages, yeah.
But if you look at it, he just created magic. I can put in a code, play C, and it'll play C, and I can create Smashing Pumpkins drum beat because I know how it is, and I use code. And he says something very interesting. He says code is one of the greatest inventions to come out of humanity, and I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's why I'm saying they're wizards, because code can be magical. It can go beyond what the action you do with it can create something enormous.
Yes.
It's almost like nature. You can create a piece of code that will do amazing things or destructive things. That's what I'm saying.
Viruses.
Yeah, and what's the incentive for that? Some people just want to see the world burn.
So yeah,
Some people just want to make money out of it.
So
Some
that-
people might just want to have fun destroying somebody else. Schadenfreude. Do you know that term, Lucky?
Schadenfreude.
Yeah, it's a German term for being happy for somebody's misfortune.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So
What's it in Dutch again? I forgot.
I forgot. I don't know.
Yeah.
Schadenfreude. Interesting.
Yeah. What is that, sadism?
Yeah, sadism basically.
Sadism. There you go. Yeah. But let's say somebody wants to get into hacking, right? What do they need to look into? Where do they need to go?
The internet. They could go to Google. They could go to websites such as Try Hack Me, which is a very good educational tool to learn how to hack.
Oh, tryhackme.
Yeah.
.com.
.com. I think it's .com.
Pulling
You
it
can
up
look it up right now.
Yeah, I'm just pulling Try Hack. There you go. Cybersecurity
go.
training.
It's
Cybersecurity training.
To make to bring it back to the local community, I've spoken with a minister, and I've been made aware that a cybersecurity course is coming to IPA.
Wow.
not aware of it.
No, I think they're connecting with a university out there. So, but let's be honest, traditional curriculum. Usually they're not on par with, if you're in a community and you're learning by yourself, and kind of.
I think the government is lacking in security right now. I had a meeting
Absolutely. Yeah, we had that major, collective attack on the Monumenten Fonds. I think it was in 2020.
Damn.
And the hospital got hacked. Or what was it? It was ransomware, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was let me take your data and you pay me whatever, and and that brings that classic concern for cryptocurrency where people argue, you see, Bitcoin is a way. It's black market money.
Black market money.
It's selling organs. It's ransomware. Well, you could have done it with dollars too. Yeah, exactly. It happens all the time. Okay, so what are the latest things you're interested in, or that you want to talk about?
Latest, I'll let Lucky take the command. I don't know what to talk about really right now.
All right. So, there's social engineering, right? And then there's
Right. Yeah.
when
Let's
you-
get back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
Finding
you
exploits,
when you
etc.
exploit people, pretty much, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then there is, of course, a reverse engineering,
Yeah.
as you have mentioned, where you take a program and then debug it so that you can basically open the
Exploiting
veil.
websites as well.
There's exploiting websites, right?
Hacking is something that's really broad, but in generally, it's just taking control of a system or an
Mhm,
electronic or a piece of device.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just talked about Gummo. He talked about hacking the phone with the dial, with just a tone dial.
Oh, freaking yeah!
Yeah.
Back in the day, before I was even born, you could use when you put coins into a phone machine, it used to release a tone, and that
Yeah.
tone is what unlocked the machine.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you could play a tone, and it would unlock the machine without having to pay.
Interesting. Yeah, but you see, that's an
That's
exploit.
hacking.
That's an
And that was
exploit.
an exploit, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Wow,
definitely an
wow, wow.
exploit.
There's no coding necessary. It's just playing a tone.
But-
That is hacking.
I want to add on to when you talked about a spectrum. I know of a certain project where a hacker was talking at a TED Talk about what hacking culture is about. And he talked about taking a CD-ROM laser
Yeah.
and hacking it in a way together with a camera. And he created a mosquito.
Painting?
No. He created a mosquito protection sphere.
Mosquito protection,
Oh,
mosquito
oh.
killer sphere.
Yeah, so
Mosquito killer, yeah.
So he would using it, and
A camera and a
a
laser.
normal, consumer available at home technology, and just through,
Yeah, through taking
software
it apart and making it do what you want it to do.
and he created, it would recognize movement, and then it would shoot. That laser has enough power to render a mosquito.
To fry a mosquito,
it.
yeah.
And it could happen so fast that it could be sort of like, the barrier, like a missile. And he thought he was going to do that for the communities that suffer from malaria.
Wow.
So this is an example of white hat hacking. So, and then that's what he's talking about. Some people will exploit it, and some people like me, I'll hack anything if I can. He'll turn anything that, like I think that sentence was amazing. He put something with another intention. It was designed for something else, becomes something else.
Just something else, yeah.
Yeah. I even argue that the hip hop artists that turned they had a sequencer that was for guitarists to play bass lines, and that product didn't work out. And then the hip hop artist took that product and turned it into a true hip hop sequencer.
Oh.
Wow.
And by dialing certain things another way that would beyond its design, they created the original hip hop tracks of the 80s. But it was not a hip hop sequencer; it was a bass creator for guitarists. So they didn't really hack it by
Modified it.
they kind of modified it, but they did repurpose it.
Yeah.
So their creativity went beyond what it was intended for.
What is the difference between a cybersecurity expert and a hacker?
Nothing.
Well, a cybersecurity mostly would be considered white hack. A hacker is usually a black hat hacker.
Right.
Or well, that's how our
That's how
perception
most
of
people
it is.
would
Yeah.
perceive it. Yeah.
But a black hat hacker is as much of a cybersecurity expert as
cybersecurity expert as a
a
cybersecurity
professional,
expert.
like
Yeah.
legal worker.
Well, you're gonna. I think if you're a good cybersecurity, consultant, you would be trying to hack that system yourself,
to make sure, it
right?
doesn't
You have to
work.
go both ways.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of people on Aruba are system administrators, but they're not cybersecurity experts. So what they do is they buy the software and then they monitor all the time, right? And then, sometimes something goes beyond the firewall, but they're not really capable of finding
leave a
where
port
and why.
open
Yeah,
and-
exactly.
yeah.
So I think one of the most renowned companies on Aruba, ITP Caribbean, that's what they're about. Would it be logical for them to have at least some form of a cybersecurity hacker expert, and that's a fusion concept right now? Should they have one?
I think they should. If
Yeah.
they're working in the cyberspace, they should have somebody who tries to.
Yeah, I think so
exploit
too.
it.
I think so too.
Exploit.
But instead of
banks especially should.
banks,
have one.
especially, yeah.
Compliance.
Yeah, they you definitely need someone who has the skills necessary in order to look for exploits and try to break it open.
Try to break it open.
Because
Yeah.
if you can break it open, then you know how to patch that exploit, right?
Right.
And patching is a very interesting term, in my opinion, because an exploit is essentially a hole in your code, right? And what do you do to cover up a hole? You patch it. And that's why this term patching exploits or patching
that's where it came from.
bugs came from, right? And these people would definitely need to have the skills required in order to
program, an update for software.
exactly.
But there you go. So it's not far-fetched to say that hackers can become, they're sort of software developers as well.
Oh,
It just depends.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
Sometimes
I mean-
they're just social engineers. Sometimes they
Yeah.
just know how to work websites. Sometimes they just know how to work software.
Yeah. I mean, back in my day, when I download the torrent and there's always a patch. So I have to install it. So here's the process. I have to install it, but my internet has to be down. I install it. Then it asks to phone home. I break that. I cancel that, but it did open. And then there's a patcher.
Oh.
And then there's this piece of software. You open it up,
Yeah,
and it
patches
says,
the
go ahead and patch. Boop. And then the software will look for the directory. But that's when maybe they'll put a miner. Because what's the incentive to give me free software? You know, give me the utility.
No, the second you download something, it could have a miner put into it.
Exactly. So there you go. So beware.
You could pirate a game and it could have a built-in miner. That there's instances of that.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
yeah.
Well, let's talk about the games. Yeah, man. Let's talk about the pirated games. Do people do that still?
Of course.
Of course,
PC
of
gamers?
course,
PC
of
gamers?
course, especially in poor countries where they can't afford to buy the games.
There you go. There you go.
There is a lot of official Minecraft accounts, but now imagine all of the cracked ones.
Yeah, all of the ones who didn't buy the game.
Yeah, there is a very famous cracked version where you literally just log in, and it runs. It's a Minecraft game, and there is even for people who make Minecraft servers, there is a little piece that says whether it needs to check for verified accounts or not, which basically allows cracked accounts to join the servers, and you practically have then the full Minecraft experience.
Right.
There is no different mods run. It doesn't necessarily phone home.
Yeah, and I've just went through something interesting. I run a coder dojo, and I have a Raspberry Pi, and we used to have the Pi version, which was an educational thing, and now it's gone. And I think I realized that Minecraft, the creator, has signed some contracts with Microsoft.
No, he sold it.
He sold it.
Yeah.
He sold it. Oh,
Microsoft owns it now for years now.
Microsoft.
okay. Then what? Okay, give this 44-year-old a break.
It's fine. It's fine.
I don't
Okay,
know.
boomer.
Yeah, I'm a boomer. Definitely a boomer. Definitely a boomer. But I couldn't, because I was attempting to, because Sonic Pi can actually, the code can run on Minecraft, but I couldn't get Minecraft to engage Sonic Pi anymore. And
Weird.
then I found, basically it's out of the repository as a download from Pi and Debian and all this Linux, because it used to be available on different distributions of Linux.
Oh,
Wow.
talking about Linux, if somebody wants to get into hacking, they could download Kali, which has a lot of tools to hack.
Was it called Kali?
Kali Linux.
Kali
Oh.
It's a
Linux.
distribution of Linux that comes with a lot of tools that are useful.
Cool. I like that. Well, we're going to add that on the feed. Yeah, I've been using Raspberry Linux. I have this other one called Twister OS. And what Twister OS does is a Mac experience Linux, and it comes with all the software. You know, for example, Minecraft.
Pi?
No,
Oh,
Minecraft. But it is Minecraft that you have to have a Microsoft account now.
Oh.
So what you guys are saying is that get the other one. So
There is a cracked version that you can
That you
get
can,
if you
yeah, if you want to.
really
If you want
need
to.
if you
You
really
wanna
really
risk
need
it.
to. Yeah. No, but
Kali Linux, penetration testing and ethical hacking Linux.
wow.
Well, we got to a nice word there. Ethical hacking.
Ethical hacking, yeah.
Yeah,
So
there you
instead
go.
of being evil and using it for your own purpose, you're using it to benefit other people.
Oh, it looks great, man. It looks great, Kali. Yeah.
So the entire meme of I'm waiting for a hacker to delete all of my depths would be considered ethical hacking.
No, because the law will say fraud.
Fraud.
I mean, it's like Fight Club, you know. When they,
yeah.
I don't know. You know how I feel about that thing. I'm a Marxist, man. You know, I'm against big tech.
Ethical hacking would be Anonymous being teaching Egypt how to create their own network, and they needed to be able to connect via the internet via their own way.
That was when they really were hacktivists.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
hacktivists, you know, and they started that term really, but that's the problem with Anonymous. They are anonymous. There's
They
no
are
real
anonymous.
central, thinking. And didn't they hack Sony? You know, was it them?
Oh,
That never came out, huh?
there-
No.
Was it them?
No, there's a bunch of different groups got birthed from Anonymous, right? And I think one was LulzSec or something like that.
Oh yeah, Lolzak.
Oh,
Yeah.
That
And
was,
those people are the black hat hackers that just
LulzSec for the lulz.
yeah, they do it for
Yeah,
the
for
lulz.
lulz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Fun.
lulz means laugh out loud, so for the fun of it, for the lull of it.
There's an interesting movie about that. But I have to admit that 4chan, as 4chan,
Legendary.
legendary, because 10 years ago, if you said 4chan, I said, yes, total freedom. That's where it's at.
Anonymous,
Yeah, that's where it's at. You get that, but now it's almost damaging.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Things develop, and now you could even argue that those the basement dudes, for the lulz, actually had a lot of influence on the presidential election. Because they're memes. Because there's just a documentary about that, by the way. That they're so nihilistic that there is no limit to what can be laughed at.
Yes,
and then it actually starts.
There's no rules basically.
Yeah, but the thing is, if
internet.
you're putting, for example, a racist meme because you're trolling, or you don't really believe that, but you do it because hey, it's the internet. I don't know. But what happens is the same result. And that's what happened in politics, where they were doing it for the lulz, but they're not liberals, they're not whatever, but they are doing both anyway.
Yeah.
And then it benefits the right wing. What's that famous frog again?
Pepe.
Pepe the Frog. Yeah. So that whole documentary about memeing Pepe, where he does that. What was that?
There's a lot of faces.
Yeah,
There's a lot
the
of
face with the coffee. And he's like going and then there's like a swastika or something, and it's horrible, absolutely horrible. But for the lulz,
For the lulz.
For
Right?
lulz, yes.
Sadly, 4chan has become a perversion of itself. Some people might.
beautifully
I
said.
think it's
couldn't-
just
I couldn't
think
get
it's
it.
just a fuck you to people who try to control
Sure.
somebody on the internet.
I mean,
Yeah, I get that. That's why I thought 4chan was awesome, because I do believe if you wanna put anime, the hentai, and enjoy that, that's your
own-
prerogative.
yeah.
That's great. But what about hyperviolence? And then the other subjects that we cannot even name on right now because it will get censored.
Yeah.
But do you think that hacking as a concept do you think people will get into it?
Yeah, I think as more people are born into technology, especially the new generation, they'll learn how to have more control over their devices, so programming and etc.
Yeah, and that's why we believe in open source to begin with, a great starting point. And definitely what I'm scared of as a boomer is that the next generation, you're going to have two versions. You're going to have people that look at this thing as a window to the entertainment. So everybody wants to become an influencer and become famous, right? That's the new thing. Like, people want to become famous actors. Now it's, I want to become an influencer, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to be consuming media, being distracted. And then you're going to have other people like us that, okay, what can I do with this thing? Can it be more than just a window towards my Instagram?
Could I make it faster? Could I?
Yeah, you're right. A thing I used to do smaller back in the day, even back then, like in 2010, 2008, 2009-ish, 10, 12, between those years.
That's a while back, buddy.
That is a while back, yeah. I was really annoyed at my Apple phone,
Okay.
at my iPhone, because I knew that thing could do more things, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But it was the OS itself was hard coded to limit itself.
To limit it,
Yeah.
especially with updates.
Yeah, and so what I did, which people haven't been doing anymore recently, as far as I'm aware, is something called a jailbreaking.
Yeah. Love that.
Basically
Jailbreak.
getting admin privileges over your operating system.
Yeah. So I would download a very scary software, plug it in, do the entire factory resets, and basically open up the phone and the software to being edited, right?
Right.
Plug it in, and then pray that it works.
Yeah.
And I've not had a phone get bricked by it, sadly.
Bricked?
Or luckily, bricked. That means that your phone practically gets just locked out and doesn't function anymore.
Oh, I've bricked several devices before. Sometimes for the lull, sometimes on accident. But I've bricked devices
usually,
before.
Bricking specifically means you try to do something to it that was not intended by the company. And so if you go to Apple with a bricked phone,
Yeah, that I get.
yeah, they'll tell you, yeah, we can't do anything about it. You did something to it that you weren't supposed to.
You weren't supposed to.
I mean, but imagine, let's go to the evolution of Apple's products. When I bought a G3 tower, which was very expensive in those days, and they could run, video editing, it had a handle to open it. Like they really wanted you to have access, and there's open slots, and there's open for SATA drives, and it was back in the day you had SCSI, you had serial anyway, and it was normal for me to just open it, and it was pretty much plug and play. It was very normal.
Put it in a new hard drive.
It was, and now you open it just like by breaking the seal you void your warranty.
No, it's worse. It's worse. With the
On
phone,
phones and laptops, now it's worse.
they have sensors that tell itself if that thing has been opened or if it has a different, not factory-made device on it. So if your camera broke, you go to an independent IT guy, fixes it, puts in a new camera. Literally the same. It just so happened it wasn't approved by Apple.
Right.
The phone will refuse. It will brick itself.
Right.
The software itself will recognize that it's not an Apple product and brick itself.
Do you think, for the both of you, do you think that Apple is protecting you, or is it a little bit of both? More like, in the name of protection, we're just making sure that nobody messes with our stuff.
I think they're just appealing to the lowest common denominator, which is their customers.
Right.
So.
No, I do not feel like they are
And to themselves,
protecting
profit.
us.
Yeah, no,
If
shareholders.
somebody wants to repair an iPhone, they need special tools that only they have, that they specifically made to open a device.
That's true, huh? I have one of those iFixit things with every single, the Apple's the most difficult of all.
The most difficult of all to open it.
Yeah, definitely. I've opened everything.
And a great example is cars. People have the freedom to be able to modify and edit their cars to their extent. And some people make pretty interesting cars.
Right.
And now you can look at Tesla, which I think is doing the same thing as what iPhone is doing to phones.
Yeah. You can't modify Tesla.
I've told people about Tesla. Well, guys, it's just LiFo batteries, paralleled and seried, and with a battery management system, with a solar charge controller and whatnot. Anybody can make that. I have a whole kit at home. You can make your own Tesla wall. All you need is a lot of those batteries, a lot of them. And you can create 5 kilowatts. And actually, solar power is open source, really. It's just that everybody's lazy.
Yeah, everybody's lazy. Everybody just wants to buy it and have somebody else put it on the roof.
Exactly. And that's why I think that, for example, I believe so much in the Raspberry and the Arduino and the Maker movement. Because hopefully one day we can make our own phones. It's just not going to look. We're paying for the.
It's not going to look.
It's not going to look this great.
Sophisticated.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be sophisticated. But do we really need to have phones all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Huh? That the economy drives on it now.
And it's funny that you mentioned Arduinos and Raspberries, right? Because those pieces of hardware is something that is used very widely within the hacking community in order to run certain
programs,
run programs, make tiny little computers to safely check a virus without it going out of control and everything.
You're right. My good friend Raul Ponsong, he has 2 Raspberry Pis at home, and he still codes. He messes them with Python and whatnot. And by the way, that's my next question. So, what's your favorite? Do you have a programming language you like?
Language, C++, Lua, yeah.
Whoa, C++. That's very robust.
No, it's not. What?
No.
I mean, robust as in it's good.
Well, when you're like one of the first people to tell me C++, I haven't heard that term in a long time. Like when I went to school.
I like C# as well.
Okay. Because what you'll hear lately is a little more user-friendly.
Python.
Yeah, exactly.
Mostly Python.
Python is super easy.
Anybody could learn.
Yeah, Python is just words, sentences. But
especially with libraries, you don't really even have to do that much work.
Exactly. But I remember in my day at school, you had C++ and then you had Visual Basic, which was I guess what you see is what you get. Microsoft, yeah. And then they showed me Visual Basic. You can make apps with it. I'm like, yeah, but I hate Microsoft. There was this other software, because I used to be a Macromedia guy, Dreamweaver and HTML just in Notepad. So we had to make our own tables with code. Wow, code, HTML is not really coding, but I would use Dreamweaver, and there were some other ones, but man, Front Page was the software of Micro. It was horrific. I don't understand how people could.
Yeah, nowadays you have PHP, CSS.
Yeah, exactly. Now that's super easy, open source, lots of materials. I think PHP and MySQL is one of the greatest things to ever come out into the internet.
And also one of the worst. I mean,
Oh, here we go.
SQL injections.
Oh no! Explain.
Explain.
Well, in some websites you can. There's an exploit called SQL injections where you can run your code using a search bar on a website, and you can basically. Sometimes you can get username and passwords of everybody using that.
Wow. You know, somebody told me that. I had this friend of mine that works at the airport, and we were talking about QR codes, and he told me QR codes are not allowed because, you know, on the URL. You can do amazing things. You can
have somebody download a virus.
Like that.
Wow.
So QR codes are not legal in Schiphol. Yeah, it's not allowed. It's not allowed. They won't allow it.
Wow.
You know, and I thought, whoa. And here, you know, we're all about QR codes.
Yeah, all the restaurants have, hey, scan this QR code for our
Also,
menu.
public Wi-Fi. You could easily get control over your device just by somebody logging into public Wi-Fi.
Well, there we go. So we've been warned about MySQL and PHP now.
Yeah. But how would somebody go around to learning about that?
Learning about that?
I guess he's got it.
It's like looking for a problem. You just have to find a solution. Usually, you might find help somewhere like Stack Overflow, Google, etc.
What do you believe that people would need to have some programming understanding in order to get into this?
It depends on what they want to do, but not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Would there be any recommendations?
It would be recommended for them to learn programming, of course.
Specifically, what language?
I would recommend beginners to learn Python right now because it's easy. But if they really wanted to get into it, I would recommend a lower level language like C++ because you can have memory control.
Oh.
Yeah, because C++ can really get into the whole system.
Yeah, you can allocate memory and
Yeah, that's what I meant. I mean, it's the problem is that you know, it's also, you know, don't do it with your. Have some extra computers.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I mean, if
you can mess it up.
Mess around with memory, you might.
Get a Raspberry Pi.
Get a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
Well, get Kali, right?
Get Kali.
Yeah, I think
it has a lot of tools where you can learn easily just messing around how to use them.
Oh.
Okay, we're reloading some music, guys, because it feels so empty without our retro wave.
Music.
Yeah. No, I like it. I'm looking at Kali right now, and we'll be sharing that on the link. And it starts with a header, the most advanced penetration testing distribution.
Yeah, it's open source. It's fully open source.
And that's awesome.
So
I'm going to check it out.
So what does penetrative testing unit imply?
Penetration testing, it's testing a system or a website to see how deep you can hack it or like just trying to exploit it generally.
Oh, so basically it checks for the holes to see how many exploits you have open. All right, all of the vulnerabilities
that you have in your system or your website, your application, etc.
Do you think that's a great future industry for future jobs, maybe?
It already is a big industry. It's
there you go.
I think it's several $billion industry right now.
Yeah,
you can look it up.
Doesn't like Facebook or Microsoft like make bounties hire people?
They do hire people and they do put out bounties for people to find exploits so they can patch it.
So what are bounties?
Bounties, you find an exploit, you tell them you found it, you tell them how you found it, and you get the money.
Wow.
Interesting. Oh, wow.
Like actual people
like
bounties, but bug
money.
bounties.
Yeah, bug bounties.
Bug bounties.
Bug bounties.
There's also tournaments called capture the flag competitions where you can hack into something and you can get a prize out of it.
What?
Yeah.
So we need to do a second show on that. Hey, can we do that?
Of course.
Can we do a second show on? I would love to explore that. That's awesome. Well, awesome because
it's also a really fun way to learn how to capture the flag competitions.
Oh,
I remember this. I keep going back to that scene where remember that scene at the college in that movie where there were 4 people and they were competing with drinks and they were coding.
Yeah, that was a capture the flag competition.
That was a capture the flag.
Oh wow.
Yeah. There you go. That's interesting. Why? Because me and Jean-Luc run a coder dojo, and you know, we want to have the full spectrum of the computer engineering experience.
You could run that. There's websites that gave you examples that you could run for your students if you want.
Yeah,
to do that,
exactly. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll keep exploring that.
Specifically with that, basically just go to trytohackme.com.
Yeah, try hack me. Yeah,
Tryhackme.
it's a good website
And
for
that-
people to learn.
So that's basically a good introductionary place to go in order to try to start learning how to quote unquote
Yeah,
hack.
yeah, of course.
Amazing.
Well, at least you can learn how to protect yourself,
Exactly.
you know, and understand.
Part of that is not clicking links that you don't know or going to public Wi-Fi.
Of course.
You know, I think it's great because we've had, for example, Rutlen, our shout outs to her. She's an analyst, strategy analyst from Interpol. And most of the cyber awareness campaign that we did was social engineering, you know, and explaining people, you know. And there's also an age group, really, that are more what's the word?
Old
Susceptible?
people, because they're not technologically literate.
Yeah, and that's one of the challenges, I think, for the modern community is that everybody's got these devices. I mean, these devices go all the way to an 80-year-old. But they actually have a lot of trouble managing it.
Yes.
And mistakes are made. And I think there's a course even about online banking, you know, but going back, everybody above 40 has kind of a problem. Yeah, me included, and I'm in this space, but I don't know.
No, there are some people whose phone would go into settings and they wouldn't be able to know how to get out.
No, true.
And they simply don't know how to navigate through their devices.
Okay, let's go through a final list, and then we're gonna close the show. I think we easily got to 45 minutes. What is the biggest hack you know of, or that you respect, or is there like a big story that inspires you?
I do really enjoy SQL injections, even though most of them are patched nowadays, but there's still vulnerabilities there.
Cool,
in a lot
cool.
of websites.
Yeah, and isn't MySQL like a huge pie of how the internet's put together?
Yeah, it is.
You know,
absolutely.
and I mean, we have ASP as well, right? But that's Microsoft.
ASP.NET, yeah.
Yeah, .NET. I can't even remember the rest of it.
Azure.
Let me interject. Why did you become a hacker?
Oh, just for the fun of it. I was just a little kid messing around on my computer, you know, playing games, learning how it works, just taking things apart and putting it back together.
So your pure interest in order to try to understand the software.
Understand,
what's going on.
how it works under the hood.
Wow, and
That's
That's-
like how a mechanic would learn how a car works.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, my little brother was that. He was messing around and trying to find out the biggest capability from the computer, you know, and
Wow.
and you know, back in those days there were some movies also that came out, you know, and I think the movie was called Hacker.
I've entered the mainframe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really funny moments in television and movies.
Yeah, in those days they made the hacking look very visual. A lot of interesting things happened.
With like 5 screens and pop-ups all over the place. You are being hacked right now.
I think what was the actress name that married Brad Pitt? What was her name again? Lara Croft. Come on.
Angelina
Come
Jolie?
on, Tomb Raider. Angelina Jolie, there you go. She was that's her coming out movie. She was a girl hacker. Very interesting thing. They would bring out this laptop. This has a 56K modem and 64 MBs of RAM.
64 megabytes of RAM. Wow. Back in those
And now
days.
like 8 is nothing.
8 is like the
gigabytes.
minimum.
8
yeah,
gigabytes is
gigabytes is the
nothing, it's
minimum.
minimum.
Don't you find it interesting that the speeds never went up and now it's all about SSD? You know?
Oh yeah, hard drives, yeah.
Now it's about the SSD. Now, if you want to upgrade your Mac,
Just put an SSD in it.
you know, amazing. Huh? I don't.
Amazing, the operating system loads like
Boom.
that.
And
Oh.
I will not buy the new Macs because this was the best Mac. It has all the peripherals. It has HDMI out. It's got an SD card reader. It's got USB. It's got all the things I need that's still useful. And now the new Macs come with nothing, lightning.
Lightning.
Yeah.
And another lightning.
I think 2 USB ports. That's it.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
ridiculous.
if you're
ridiculous.
lucky.
Ridiculous. Totally unuseful. You know, I have to carry all these other. I mean,
Since Steve Jobs died, I feel like Apple's just been going backwards.
Rest in peace.
what do you think about that? They've got this green light now if your data is being shared. I think.
I
what do you
think that's actually really good because you can even see what application it is that is using that data.
Do you think they're trying to come back and starting to consumer first, my buyer first, instead of Facebook,
Maybe
riding
a small
on?
part of the company is, but in general, I think the managers don't really understand what is going on.
True.
I think specifically with that, when it comes to data protection, is
Right.
where they are very, very good at, where they actually care about people's data being protected.
I'm even thinking that they're like, you know what, Facebook, you're a company, we're a company, we don't like what you're doing. You're kind of misusing our system because they're exploiting Apple.
Yeah.
Right? They're
Yeah.
using Apple infrastructure,
Facebook.
Apple resources
Yeah.
to mine our data, package us in a product, and resell us to whoever's going to bid the highest. And that's that surveillance capitalism concept. As a hacker, you're aware of those things as
Yeah,
well,
of
of course. And what do you think about that? Big data, and how can we negate that as much as we can in the future?
I don't think we can negate it. I think major
True.
companies already have your information. You have a Facebook, they already know a lot of information about you. Instagram,
They can even
whatever.
predict you.
Then
But
what
technically, they
about
sell that information.
Yeah.
then what about InfoSec?
Info security. I mean, if you're gonna have a social media, you
You already failed.
yeah, you already failed.
You're right. They asked me once at a conference, Bruce, if I upload my picture, how can I protect it?
You can't.
I'm like, you can't.
You already
Don't
put
upload
out
it.
there.
Don't upload it.
Yeah, but can't we put I'm like, if it's on my screen, I can screenshot it.
I can screenshot it. Yeah,
Yeah,
take a picture.
that's it.
It's out there already.
It's out there. If the audio plays, I can hack my microphone, and whatever the waveform goes through, I can record that. There was software for that. When they used to protect the samples, because I did a lot of plagiarism for as a web developer, because you just need stuff. You need stuff.
And that is big part of coding as well. Plagiarism. You don't even need to learn how to code. You can use other people's codes now and tools that are already made.
But
Yeah.
those are script kiddies.
That is true, but it is still hacking.
Script kiddies.
Yeah, those are basically usually they're kids, right? Who want to get into it,
Who
but
want
they
to get
have
into it, but
no
they
understanding
don't
of
have any
what's going
experience,
on,
so
right?
they just plagiarize everything.
Yeah, they just take a script, like change a little bit, and then they use it but they never made
Never
it.
really understand how something works.
Yeah.
I had this one script for sending an email form that I saved for years. It was in JavaScript, and all it was really was a couple of codes, and then it was connected to the variables. And then when I needed one more, I just copied it and then changed one name. And I don't know how it works. I just knew that if I do it right, it'll keep working. I used
There
that
you
for like
go.
7 years.
There you go.
And now WordPress as a plugin, and so you don't really know.
That you
You're
have to pay
right.
for.
But every hacker starts a script kid.
Yeah.
True.
Most of them.
Yeah.
Some of them do go through the entire process of learning piece by piece, not just copying.
Interesting, but okay. Are you willing to come back so we can talk about that interesting world of hacking for fun?
Sure.
Well,
Competitive hacking.
yeah,
Competitive
let's do
hacking,
some
yeah,
competitive
sure.
hacking, and could we even try one?
We could
I-
try one. There's a website that's 24/7 available that you can do a CTF competition.
Are you telling
Yeah.
the viewers and us that we should prepare ourselves for the upcoming competition?
No, let's just talk about it. We'll have that as a subject. Go ahead, Shanuk. Let's give the big thanks. We have to mention our sponsors, by the way, before we close,
Yes.
and give a thanks to
Yes.
our guest. And up to you.
Thank you for our sponsors, Subway, for allowing the Sopmix family to be able to thrive and even exist, and Swing Masters
Got it.
for the
For all the
setup.
stuff, yeah.
for
This
the
beautiful,
lighting,
all
Yeah,
the
it's a
lighting.
really good set.
The
Yeah.
viewers might not be able to see this necessarily, but it looks
But it is a
Good in
really
here.
good set, and it does have noise cancellation all over, which is like cool to see in Aruba.
Thank you. And that is
That's
it,
it.
right? All right. And thank you, Paul, for
no problem.
Yeah,
showing
man.
up, giving us insights into this world, and giving even us some more information.
Yeah.
We look forward to your return.
Next podcast.
Next podcast, next Saturday. Are you up for it?
Maybe I'll see what
Well-
the schedule's looking like.
All right.
Check it out, and we'll see you back here. And thank you for that great information. We'll be sharing the links we talked about right after we close.
Join
So,
our Discord. Have a good one.
Join our Discord. Have a good one, guys. Later.